we must have heard these words. To see is to believe. This is the philosophy of skeptics. Skeptics only believe when they see with their naked eyes. They only believe when they can touch with their bare hands, and so on and so forth. However, we Christians do not live in this manner. Recall what St. Paul said. We live by faith and not by sight. One of the reasons why the Jews can hardly understand Jesus is because they want everything certain. And by the way, the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's certainty. We want everything to be certain. That's why they find it difficult to understand and to accept Jesus, because when Jesus speaks, He speaks not so much for them in plain words as they said here. Why can you just speak to us in plain words so that we can understand and we can accept? But Jesus tells them, you can never understand my words if you do not accept me. That's why the sheep listen to my voice and they get to know the meaning behind the words that I speak. Because, not so much because they believe in me, but because we have a relationship. You know that having a relationship facilitates acceptance and understanding. If we do not have any type of relationship, it's difficult to understand each other. We usually say, you may be coming from another perspective, and I am coming from a different perspective. Precisely, that's why we cannot understand each other. But if we will come into terms with having a relationship, and Jesus demands from us not just an ordinary relationship, but personal, intimate relationship. Remember when Jesus is speaking about the bread of life, He actually speaks about an intimate kind of relationship. And when we are intimate, it's easy for us to understand each other. Sometimes you don't need words to understand each other. Sometimes we only need to look at each other, and that may be enough. Why? Because I know where you're coming from, and you know where I am coming from. This is what we mean by living not by sight, but living by faith. Because there is something that binds us together. In fact, one reason also why we can hardly appreciate the religious things that we are doing is because we may not be able to see how God wants us to see the things that He reveals to us. Perhaps at times we are behaving like the Jews. We want everything to be certain. We want everything said in plain words. But again, if we have a faith born out of a personal relationship, the faith that we have will enable us to understand or to accept in order to understand. Usually, acceptance is the beginning of understanding, not the other way around. At times, we want to understand somebody, but we find it difficult to understand because we do not accept the person. When you start to accept the person, that's the only time you can understand. And this is how Jesus deals with us. He accepts us as we are, and so He understands us. The disciples of Jesus accept Jesus as He is, and that acceptance enables them to understand Him. In fact, it's only in the resurrection that they start to believe in Him, because they accept everything that He tells them. In like manner, we will be able to understand what Jesus is telling us if we are so open to our faith in Him. Because truly, we live by faith and not merely by sight.